As a long-term believer in Aerodrome, today I'm going to be max locking some AERO tokens for veAERO. The goal of this video is really just to run through and demonstrate how I'm doing this, as well as talk about why I want to do this in the first place. The max lock period is 4 years, and in DeFi that's essentially an eternity. The reason that I started looking at Aerodrome in the first place was talking to my friend Shah, who is a bit of a DeFi OG. So let's hear what he has to say.
You get revenue, protocol revenue as an AERO locker. Some of that revenue comes to you. You're a part owner in the business. And that to me is powerful. And only blockchain lets you do that. And I think that that is really cool. Um, but obviously, you don't want to have everything locked and you want to have some liquidity, even if you believe in something. And I've been in this space long enough to know it's foolish to lock up everything. So I've got about a third of my aerodrome locked. And then I have 2/3 liquid so that if we get like a big run and I want to take some profits, I can do that.
Aerodrome uses a vote-escrow model, and by locking my tokens, my AERO tokens for veAERO, what that allows me to do is participate in the voting process on Aerodrome. Now, locking tokens for 4 years might be seen as a negative, and I guess on one hand it is, but the benefit of me doing that is that by voting on Aerodrome to reward or choose which liquidity pools I think should get rewards, that is going to give me a return, a yield, as a voting participant. And the voters receive the majority of the fees generated on the Aerodrome platform. So the reason that I'm going to be locking AERO tokens today is because I think the yield that I'm going to be able to generate from doing that long term is hopefully going to be worth it. Looking at my Aerodrome dashboard in this lock section, this shows what happens when you create a lock. So I created this lock down here and originally deposited 2,510 AERO. And then what I did with this lock was I deposited it into this relay, the veAERO Maxi Relay. And that means that this lock is now compounding at about 20% APR. So within 3 weeks or so, I've already generated about 60 AERO, which has gone back into the lock value. Not only that, I also received a bonus simply just for setting this lock up. Now, Aerodrome has a program running at the moment called Flight School. And it says every 4 weeks, the Aerodrome Flight School program distributes bonus veAERO to qualifying users. And to qualify for Flight School bonus, users must create a new lock of at least 2,500 veAERO within the period. Now, this Flight School program is coming to an end, so there's just the Flight School period that we're in and then one more. And it finishes, I think, it's at the start of April. I think it's the 8th of April. So that's another reason why I want to get a lock set up sooner rather than later, because I'll get bonus veAERO for doing that. And there's a really cool dashboard. In fact, it links to it here. If we open up this dashboard and then scroll down a little bit, we can see that the estimated bonus is 18%. Now that'll probably fall a little bit, but hopefully it'll be around about 15% bonus on the amount of AERO that I lock. So that's kind of some of the history. So going back to Aerodrome itself, a lock, and I just want to create a new lock. It shows me how much I've got here. I'm going to do a lock for 5,000. I like doing round numbers, so that helps me see how much bonus I'm getting and how the lock is compounding. Right, 5,000 AERO, maximum lock, 4 years. So this is the amount of veAERO that the lock is going to contain. And then I just click create lock. And first of all, approve the tokens. And then this transaction, I think, is to actually create the lock. So we can see here I'm getting this veNFT. Now for me to unlock my AERO, I'm going to have to wait 4 years. But because I'm getting the NFT that represents my locked veAERO, I can trade the NFT. So if I'm really, really desperate to get out of the position, I can try and do that. Now, if I go back to manage locks, that should take me back to this locks page. Okay, I don't see my new lock yet. I'm just going to refresh. And here it is. Now, there's a whole host of different ways that I could vote with this lock, but the simplest for the time being is just to add it into this veAERO Maxi Relay. And there's a whole host of different other relays, but I like the APR on this one. And as far as I'm aware, this relay is actually run by the Aerodrome protocol itself. So I'm just going to click deposit lock. And I can choose which lock. I'm going to do something else with this one, but the one I want to deposit is this 5,000. And just have to check this. I understand that by depositing my lock into the relay strategy, the lock unlock date will be extended to 4 years, but it's a 4-year lock anyway. So I just click deposit. Sign the first transaction. And if we go back to this manage locks page, hopefully I should see still showing up the top, but if I just refresh, yeah, we can see here that my bonus lock from my first lock that I created is just waiting up the top, undeposited. But then this one that I've just created just now, the 5,000 AERO lock, is also in this relay, so it'll be generating auto compounding AERO rewards that will get fed back into the lock itself. The risks of me buying AERO and then locking it for such a long time are essentially that the Aerodrome protocol doesn't become as successful as I think and hope that it will do. But for me, this isn't a short-term trade. This is all about long-term alignment and belief in success of the Aerodrome protocol. For me, it's going to be interesting to see how these veAERO locks perform over the long term. As I was saying earlier, there's different ways that I can be using these locks to vote. I can be voting manually, depositing into different relays. There's also different third-party voting apps that I could be using. So I will be experimenting with some of these going forward. Hopefully you found that interesting, and I'd love to hear any specific voting strategies you have if you are a veAERO locker.